Welcome to More Than No podcast. I am your host, Josh Mor-In, Vice President and co-founder of Fueled Supplements, as well as sobriety, woke business, and wellness coach. More Than No delivers an array of content based on marketing, health and fitness, personal branding, addiction, and often goes down the rabbit hole of politics, conspiracy, and the truth. If you seek to better understand the inner workings of human performance, consciousness, business, and humanity, you've come to the right place. Thank you for tuning in and tagging along. Let's get today's podcast started. What is up? What is happening? All you potheads out there, it is 420, and this is a special edition of More in the Know. How is it going? I just got back from an awesome trip up to the Pacific Northwest. That would be Portland. And wow, Portland is still weird. Found out some crazy things about Portland Voodoo Donuts and its link to Pizzagate, which I will get into on a later date. For today's podcast, I am going to be talking about pot, marijuana, the devil's lettuce, the despiteful plant that will make your brain cells be fried, and all the crazy propaganda that was behind marijuana and what it did to you and what it does to the brain. But obviously, most of you know I am over a year sober. My sobriety date is April 1st, and no, it is not April Fool's. I did not select that date because of that. It just happened to be the date that I decided to change my life and forever change my life, and it is the best decision that I've ever made. But for this edition, we are going to be talking about marijuana, as it did have a big role, and I did smoke a lot of pot in the last 4 or 5 years. So let's get started. Obviously, 420 blaze up. It's the National Pot Smoking Holiday, and most of us, most of the time, who are celebrating this holiday are lighting joints, taking bong rips, maybe eating a few edibles, going down the rabbit hole, blasting off into outer space, taking a moon cookie, 200, 400, 500 milligrams, going to the moon, going to the galaxies, maybe watching some sort of Cheech and Chong film, and are celebrating by a hike, a blunt, a blitz, and anything else that you can get your hands on that can get you high. What does it mean to me today? Well, this is actually my second 420 holiday sober, and I feel absolutely amazing. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. I do salute all my potheads out there. I do wish the best for all you devil's lettuce smokers, as you do know what happens to you when you smoke the devil's lettuce. uh, with that being said, today is just another day for me. It's another day of sobriety, another day of clarity, and I'm not here to bash on marijuana. I'm here to talk about it. So that's what we're just going to do, is talk about it. And like I said, this is my second 420 holiday sober. Last year, I was 20 days into sobriety and about 15 pounds less than I started the month of April. So I'll get into that a little bit later into the podcast. But 420 to me now is really nothing. It's nothing to me. Obviously, there's no holiday to be celebrated because every day in my life is a celebration. And every day and each day that I wake up and I am granted another opportunity, 86,400 seconds, to squeeze out the human experience, to squeeze out every bit of the human experience, is a blessing and a holiday. So that's what I'm going to treat it as. What is it like being sober? Well, that's one thing that you can't really explain until you are sober. And sobriety to me is just power. Sobriety to me is, it was letting go of all of that seduced me, all of the repression and suppression, all the things that I held on to internally, and just let go. And over the last year, I have unequivocally been able to understand why I do what I do, get to the root cause of these problems, places, and people that have kept me repressed, suppressed, and in a place of fear, anxiety, doubt, abandonment, rejection, and any other low levels of transmutational energy, which I have covered in episode 5. And being sober now is oftentimes as enlightening as being high all the time. And I'll face it, man. I will be honest, is I was high all the time for a few years. I mean, when we're talking high all the time from sun up to sundown, I'm smoking, baby. I was smoking the Mary Jane from sun up to sundown. And on average, per week, I was smoking about an ounce of marijuana per week, which is a lot. So if you break that down to a normal smoker, most smokers that I know are smoking an eighth per week, which would equal a quarter per month. I was smoking an ounce of marijuana per week. And when I say I was high all the time, that's no joke. From sun up to sundown, I was taking bong rips, smoking joints, smoking blunts, and anything and everything that I could get my hands on. Obviously, being on my own and living on my own as well as working from home, I was able to do this. I did have the freedom to do this. So what I had was a bong. So I sat there and I smoked bong rips all day long, one after another. And when I calculated it out, if I'm awake for 16 hours a day, on average, I'm awake for 16 hours a day, I was at least taking 1 to 2 bong rips per hour each day, which equates to over 30 bong rips every single day. That is stupid. That is a stupid number. And that is when marijuana becomes an addiction. That is when marijuana becomes a dependency. That's when it becomes a problem. Now, you casual smokers out there who smoke every now and then, maybe when you go to bed, maybe when you're going out, want to have a little bit of fun or on a hike or something like that, and you keep it in moderation, good on you. Good on you for not abusing marijuana. But for me, anything that I have put my hands on, I've essentially abused. It first started out with alcohol when I was in high school, which nobody really knows about, but we definitely had a lot of crazy times, which then moved into other recreational things once I got into college. And marijuana became my medicine, my daily dose of medication that was keeping me essentially straight because without it, I wasn't me. Or that's what I thought I was because I was so dependent on it. I couldn't literally do anything without smoking pot. And I smelled like pot all the time, but I didn't want to believe it. I remember my dad saying, "Man, you smell like pot. Are you high right now?" And I'd be like, "Well, no," but I really wasn't high at that point, but I had reeked of marijuana for so long. It was stained in all of my clothing, it was stained in my hair, and I was your typical pothead. And I didn't portray that to a lot of people, but the people who knew me most knew exactly how much I was smoking and how big it was in my life. And I started to realize that I literally couldn't go anywhere or do anything without smoking pot. We're talking I couldn't eat, I couldn't go hiking, I couldn't exercise, go to the gym, I couldn't have sex, I couldn't listen to music. You name it, I could not do it without getting high. And that's when it becomes a problem. That's when it becomes something that you are dependent on. When you're high all the time, smoking the reefer 24 hours a day, or as long as I was awake. And most of the, lots of times I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would take a few bong rips right in the middle of the night if I couldn't sleep. And I got my medical card and I used to justify the situation by saying that I'm a medical patient, I am in chronic pain, which is true. I've had 4 back surgeries, 2 knee surgeries, 2 dislocated elbows, a torn UCL, and a long list of injuries that have caused chronic pain over the years. And I've used the justification that I am a chronic pain patient, and I wanted just to say, fuck Big Pharma, because pills kill, man. Pills kill. And I was almost one of those people that really went down the rabbit hole. But thankfully, I had some solid and phenomenal people in my life, some people who are watching over me to make sure that I didn't go down that rabbit hole when they saw the opioid addiction beginning to happen and the abuse beginning to happen. But I remember after my 4th back surgery, after they pumped me full of morphine, Toradol, Percocet, anything and everything that they could do to put a band-aid over the pain, a band-aid over the problem, they did. And what happened was is I started to get addicted to these substances my freshman year in college. After my 4th back surgery, I remember I was so fucked up on Percocet. I was taking Perc 30s and I was using about 4 or 5 of those per day. And I remember I was so fucked up on Percocet trying to finish school that I didn't remember how to read, or I couldn't read. That's how messed up I was. And so after getting sober, after getting clean off of the Percocet and being clean for almost an entire year, I went sober after that. I resorted back to marijuana. I started to smoke marijuana about 4 years ago, 5 years ago now. Actually, it'd be 5 years ago now. I started smoking marijuana pretty regularly, and that just increased and increased and increased. And obviously, it started as a weekend thing. It started as something that was happening every now and then, but then it happened and turned into something that was every single day, all day long. That's where I really began to take notice of what was going on and that it was taking control of my life, because it was just like my standard. Like that was something that I had to do every day. It just became part of my life. And I thought that that was the portal to my higher self. I thought that that was the portal to enjoying life on a higher elevated level. That I thought that that was the portal to increasing the experience of eating food and hiking and exercising, having sex and making love and listening to music. I thought that these were the portals that were granting me this connection to that source. This entire time I lived in this facade that I believed that this plant that I was smoking was going to get me in touch with my higher self. But really, it was actually detracting and disconnecting me from my higher self. It was taking me away from me. It was putting a fog. It was not allowing me to have that clarity. And that clarity only became certain with sobriety. Clarity and sobriety are synonymous and one with each other. And I didn't realize that this entire time that I was trying to connect to my higher self through smoking marijuana, I was actually deconnecting from myself and suppressing and repressing and putting a fog and a haze over all the things that I was scared to face. I was putting a fog and a haze, and I was suppressing the feelings of guilt, shame, abandonment, rejection that I was afraid to face. And I did that by using other drugs as well, but those were more in benders and binge uses. But marijuana was my daily bend. It was my daily use. It was my daily haze that I put myself and allowed myself to be in every single day. And I used to play tricks with myself, and I used to tell myself that I was better, that I was happier, that I was more loving, that I was more at peace, that I was more at one with myself, that I could exercise better, that I could do more yoga, that music sounded better, that nature was better when I was high. And these were all things that I would justify smoking pot. And when it comes down to it, now that I'm over a year sober, I will honestly say that the space that I'm in, the transmutational energy that I am now emitting, and the consciousness and connectivity that I do have with my higher self that's in the fourth dimensional field, I do not believe that that is direct. The connectivity that I feel with my higher self is simply due to the fact that I'm sober. When you are sober, you are one with yourself, because there's no suppression, there's no haze, there's nothing in the way of who you are at your core. There's no running from it anymore. And that's what I was doing for all those years when I was suppressing, but I didn't even know it. This was happening on a subconscious level, and I did not know that I was really repressing things each and every day. Now I repress things through my codependent relationships with females. I would do it with sex. I would do it with a multitude of people, places, and situations that kept me in these low levels of transmutational energy. And one of the things that I continually allowed myself to do was go down the rabbit hole of smoking marijuana. Now, I'm not here to bash marijuana. I do believe that there's a purpose for it. I do believe some people can use it in moderation. But if you're smoking pot every single day and you're one of those people saying that you don't need it and you can quit anytime, then fucking quit. Then do it. Then step up to the plate and fucking quit. If you don't think that you're dependent on it, then quit. And not quit for like a couple days and say that you're going to take a little break and tiptoe quietly and or tiptoe the edge of saying that you're going to quit or not going to quit. Actually do it. If you don't believe that you need it, then don't do it. Don't sit here and say that you don't need something and then continually do it. That to me tells me that you're a liar and that you're lying to yourself, because I used to lie to myself that say, oh, well, I don't really need marijuana, but I'm just using it because it makes me better. It makes me more in touch. It makes me more loving, more at peace, and all these multitude of situations I used to tell myself and justifications I used to tell myself. But in reality, it was just simply a lie. It was simply a lie to who I am at my very core and who we are at our true selves. Once again, I'm not saying that you can't smoke weed. I'm just saying that this is what has happened to me. And even on a smaller scale, let's just say you're an occasional user, I think it is important as an occasional user to realize why you are doing it. Why are you smoking? Now, if you're smoking every single day, then you're a habitual user, and that's something that I would truly believe, regardless of the extent of which you're using every single day. I'd really take a look at why are you smoking marijuana every single day. Now, if you're just saying it's because you get anxious and you have your med card and there's a multitude of situations and justifications that you're allowing yourself to be seduced by, then fine. You can live in that mentality and you can live in that vibrational space. But when you're ready to get honest with yourself as the reasons why you're truly smoking every single day, then that's when transformation will happen. You'll begin to realize that you do not require it for chronic pain. I live in chronic pain every single day, but all it is a bandage and it is escape from reality. You don't require it because for anxiety. Anxiety is man-made. You make it up in your mind. And obviously there's hormonal releases and imbalances that happen, but the hormonal imbalance happens because your body is in an emotional state that is not in tune with your higher self. And once you're able to let go, breathe, let go, release, understand why you do what you do, detach yourself from these events that shape your feelings, step into your power, away from resistance, stop justifying your actions, beginning to take responsibility for who you are as a person and who you're becoming. Once you're able to step into that place, that space, and have that rigorous candor, then true transformation will happen. So, marijuana has done a lot of good in my life. It's done me well. I've learned so many lessons. I remember I used to get fucking baked out of my mind and listen to music. I remember laying there with a couple girlfriends and partners of mine and just enjoying the moment and really feeling in tune. But all I can say now is in my sobriety, I've been able to access this space without smoking. And I truly believe us as humans can access this space without smoking. And maybe it's not the exact same thing because I'm not getting this bout of euphoria, this high, this tingle that I'm feeling, the sensation across my body, but it really is a sensation, but just on a deeper level. When you start to really become in tune with who you are, your higher self, and you're really just receiving this information simultaneously without thought, without resistance, without ego, it's just flowing effortlessly through you like the music notes of a violin and playing in a symphony, then that's when you are at your best. That's when you're in flow. That's when you are in tune. And this flow and this space and this transmutational energy is achieved when you are at and in sobriety. That is it. When you're rooted here now and you ultimately can feel life. I have had the most psychedelic experience over the last year, the highest highs of my life that I've experienced in sobriety. It's a little bit different. Sure, I'm not feeling baked out of my mind. Sure, I'm not getting the giggles and things like that. But I often do get overwhelmed with this feeling and euphoria sensation that takes hold of my body, lifts me higher, and vibrates me, literally vibrates me, vibrates my cells, vibrates my being. And I'm often left speechless. I'm often left in this space of you know how many times I drive home and I'm listening to music and I'm so rooted in the moment that the moment just fills my eyes with tears. And that's what life's all about, man. So if you're listening to this and you're on the edge of sobriety, and or maybe you're somebody who just wants to continually smoke and do your thing, I support both sides. I support those who want to step into their power and into their sobriety, and I support the person who isn't dependent and who isn't an addict. Now there's a complete difference of addicts as well as those who are just occasional users. If you're just an occasional user of marijuana and you do it here and or there, then go for it. Keep being you, man. But if you're somebody who smokes every single day, or if you're somebody like myself who'd smoke an ounce a week, maybe there is a root cause of something larger going on. And you must be willing to take that look inside, have the introspective and awareness to be able to understand why you do what you do, understand these patterns, take a look at these things, and change. Change your perception of your past. Change your perception of what you thought you should be or have done, and allow yourself and grant yourself that forgiveness for all the wrongs that you've done. Make amends with those you have wronged, and make amends with yourself. If you can't forgive yourself first and love yourself and get to the core of who you are as a person, you'll never be able to attract that in your life. That's just how it is, man. You cannot give what you do not have. And that's where it all comes down to, is once you can enter the space of love, of understanding, of forgiveness, the space that literally will transform the world. We're talking recreate a different reality tenfold, larger than yourself, larger than who you are and what you're around. If all of us can get to this deeper understanding of ourselves, obtain this love, this deep sensation of love for who we are and what this life means to us, then guess what? We're going to automatically raise the transmutational vibrational energy of the world, of those around us. And no more we're going to see this Luciferic consciousness, this devil consciousness take over. It's deep, man. It's much deeper than the skin. It's much deeper than the eyes and ears. It's on a metaphysical level that we can attune into once we are one with ourselves. And that's tonight's message, is if you're smoking the marijuana tonight, you're getting high, you're having fun, do you, baby boo. I support you. I was there. Smoke that blunt for me. Take a rip, take a riff. Suck one down the pipe for your boy Josh. And those who are on the opposing end, not celebrating 420, those who are sober listening to this podcast, because I know I have a lot of people who have battled addiction that are now sober. Congratulations on another sober day, one day at a time. Growth over consistency, that is the name of the game. That is how you become successful in all aspects of life. And with that being said, that closes out More in the Know 420 Special Edition, episode number 6. You guys have a beautiful evening, and be sure to check out my Instagram page at mogul_Mor-In. And if you are somebody who is seeking a coach, if you're somebody who is seeking to better understand why you do what you do, get the cause, the effect, be able to separate yourself from the events that have shaped your past, release and let go, and transform into the person that you deserve. If you are seeking guidance from a coach, I offer one-on-one coaching, and I will give you a 20-minute free coaching session to assist you in becoming your best self. Be sure to check out my company page at Fueled Supplements on all social media platforms, as well as fueledsupplements.com for all your supplement needs. Have a beautiful day.